Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. So we were studying the 13th chapter, the 20 practices of jnana, of spiritual practices conducive to self-realization. And we were on verse 10, I think. Isn't that so? Yes. So I'm going to chant the 20 practices. You can chant after me if you like. Those who want, you can do that. There's this, I can reduce the volume maybe a little bit. Amanitvam adambhetvam, amanitvam adambhetvam, ahimsa kshantirajyavam, ahimsa kshantirajyavam, acharyopasanam shaucham, Yupasanam shaucham, stairyam atma vinigraha, stairyam atma vinigraha, indriyartheshu vairagyam, indriyartheshu vairagyam, anahankara evacha, anahankara evacha, janma mrityu jara vyadhi, Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam, dukkha doshanudarshanam, asaktir anabhishwanga, asaktir anabhishwanga, putradara grihadishu, putradara grihadishu, nityam cha samachittatvam, Nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu ishtopapatishu Mayi chānanya-yogena Mayi chānanya-yogena bhaktir avyabhichāriṇī bhaktir avyabhichāriṇī vivikta-deśa-sevitvam vivikta-deśa-sevitvam aratir jana-sansadi aratir jana-sansadi adhyatma-jnana-nityatvam adhyatma-jnana-nityatvam tattva-jnanartha-darshanam tattva-jnanartha-darshanam etajjnanam iti proktam etajjnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha ajnanam yadatonyatha. So these are the 20 practices. We are on the 10th verse. Mayi chānanya-yogena bhaktir avyabhichāriṇī vivikta-deśa-sevitvam aratir jana-sansadi. Unswerving devotion to me through the yoga of non-separation, resorting to solitude and aversion for company. Bhakti, Mayi bhakti, devotion. Mayi bhakti avyabhichāriṇī, unwavering devotion. Chānanya-yogena, one-pointed. See, devotion, bhakti, is a part of Vedanta. Dharma is a part of Vedanta, moral life. Yoga, meditation is a part of Vedanta. And devotion, faith in God, bhakti, devotion is a part of Vedanta, the path of self-knowledge, the path of self-realization, of Brahma-jnana. There is a kind of Vedanta which has been there earlier also, but it's more and more popular these days, where bhakti, that's for kids. Devotion to God, faith in God, belief in God, that's for children, that's for beginners, kindergarten stuff. We are on the path of non-duality, and no need of that kind of faith in God. Meditation. What are you going to meditate on? You are the pure consciousness. I myself say such things sometimes. You are pure consciousness. What is there to meditate upon? Whatever you meditate upon is not Brahman anyway. Are you meditating? You are meditating on whatever you are meditating upon is not the reality. So dismissing meditation, dismissing bhakti, devotion. And worst of all, nobody can dismiss ethics because nobody wants to be a bad person, but not paying attention to ethics. So this is not Vedanta. Vedanta, the traditional Vedanta, classical Vedanta, is an integral path which, with a foundation of ethics and builds upon it with devotion, faith in God, and regular meditation, inwardness and focus and stillness, then only the path of self-knowledge, inquiry, it becomes fruitful. Traditional Vedanta works like this. The system of Vedanta is this, traditional Vedanta. It's this. First and foremost is ethics. This is called dharma. Dharma is a wide term, but in this sense I'm using it in the sense of an ethical life, a moral life. Whatever might be moral in your community, in your society, or at the very least in these days when communities and societies are sort of floating and in flux, at least each one of us definitely has a certain inner moral code. Our own conscience tells us that. You know what is right and what is wrong. Your own conscience tells you that. We have our own standards. So at least foundational morality, ethics. Then comes karma yoga, from selfishness to selflessness. Not at once, not in a big jump, it can't be done, but little by little. Breaking out of the bounds of I, me, mine in our actions, in our interactions with the world, more and more selfless. Not so much about I, me, myself. Then comes meditation, yoga, which is not continuous activity of the mind, not continuous chattering of the mind, turning the mind inwards and settling the mind and stilling the mind. Not falling asleep, rather just the opposite. More focused, more alert, but like a focus, like a laser beam, like awareness, inner awareness, stilled, in whichever form of meditation. But all forms of meditation will lead to training of the awareness. Then devotion. Devotion has wide-ranging impact. We'll talk about it. Bhakti, a deep faith in the existence of God. Because Vedanta talks about, when you read Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, all throughout Bhagavad Gita, not only the impersonal absolute existence, consciousness, bliss, but God, the creator, preserver, destroyer of the world. He will talk about it now. Mayi, in me, devotion to me. What is that me? We will see. So, faith in God, devotion to God, surrender to God, love of God. Channelizing the emotions from love of the world, desire for the world. From I want the world to I want God. Same desire, same power, same grasping. But the grasping is turned away from the world to God. That is bhakti. These practices, now I'm talking about classical Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta. According to non-dual Vedanta, these practices, this kind of a life, and this is not easy at all. It takes a lot of doing. This purifies the mind. The instrument where enlightenment will arise, that has to be purified. This purifies the mind. The antakarana, the buddhi is purified. In this pure mind arise these fourfold. So these are called, these are all sadhana, but then the fourfold qualifications for Vedanta will arise and become strengthened now. Fourfold, sadhan chatushtaya, viveka, vairagya, samadhamadi shat-sampatti, mumukshutvam. What do they mean? Viveka, discernment between eternal and non-eternal. Vairagya, a dispassion for the non-eternal, for samsara. Sri Ramakrishna defined Vairagya as Vishaya Virag Ishware Anurag. Vairagya, dispassion for worldliness and a pull towards, a liking for God, for spirituality. Then the sixfold treasure, Shama, calmness, inwardness, control of the mind and the senses. Dhamma, control of the body, steadiness of the body, of the motor organs. Then there is titiksha, a spiritual fortitude, a toughness. I will persist on my spiritual path no matter what. And then there is uparati, very important, turning inwards, pulling back. We are continuously flowing out into the world, into 100 different channels, turning inwards towards spiritual life. Whatever your path, this pulling back we have only so much time, we have only so much energy, we have only so much attention. The time, energy, attention has to be turned away from its worldly objects to God. Whether it's in devotion or in meditation or in the path of knowledge, the turning away inward has to be done. In fact, one of the technical meanings of uparati, rati literally means enjoyment, sensual enjoyment in the world, flowing out into the world. Uparati, reverse, pulling back, turning inwards. Now, this uparati, one of the meanings is actually formal monasticism, actually becoming a monk. To that extent it flows. This is just one part of the practices. This is why non-dual Vedanta was often, it became heavily monastic at one time. It was related to monasticism, though it is not just for monks at all. I mean, you see in the Bhagavad Gita, neither of them are monks. Then there is samadhana, focus. Once you have withdrawn, you have got time, energy and attention, focus it on your spiritual path. Here on Vedanta, but whatever is your path. Then there is shraddha, a deep, abiding faith which sustains us through our spiritual journey. That whatever is said in these texts by the teachers, by the tradition, it's true. I don't get it yet, I don't see it yet, but I will eventually. To that point, my faith must be there. Otherwise, the progress is impossible. Then comes mumukshvatva, intense desire for freedom. Intense desire for freedom. How Sri Ramakrishna is to weep and weep for the vision of God. For him, the image of Kali, which he worshipped in Dakshineshwar temple, for him that was mother. But is it just an image? Is it just made of stone? And he would weep that so many seekers, spiritual seekers have seen you. You have revealed yourself. You have given your vision to many in the past. Why am I deprived? Will I not be able to see you? Are you just made of stone? Are you just a thing? Or are you a living, is there a living divine presence here? And he would weep and weep. One more day, very famous, he would pray at sunset. He'd weep so much that his chest would become wet with his tears. And he would, alas, one more day is gone as the sun sets, and I have not had the vision of the mother, of God. One more day has gone. So it is mumukshutvam, intense desire for freedom. Sri Ramakrishna was once asked, what is the one condition of God realization from our side? What's the one condition of God realization? Comes from God. But what is the one condition from our side? And he said, vyakulata, intense restlessness for God realization. Is there a demand? Do we want it? If we want it, God is most generous. Do we really want it? So Ramakrishna said, as far as spiritual life is concerned, most people are relaxed about it. They say that, oh, spiritual realization, it will happen in its own time, no need to get tense about it. We get tense about everything else. My Amazon Prime delivery one day, why isn't it coming? Oh, it's delayed for one more day. Not that I did not see the mother, one more day has passed. My package has not arrived, one more day has passed. So, these are the conditions, the ground, fourfold qualifications. Then comes the antaranga sadhana. Antaranga sadhana means the inner practices. These are all outer circle. Now the inner practices. Inner practices are shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Systematic study and hearing of the Vedantic texts taught authentically. And then thinking about it, reasoning about it, clarifying, and then meditating upon it. Each one does something. Shravana removes our doubts about what is the teaching. Shravana gives us the teaching. It removes ajnana, ignorance is removed about the teaching, that I am Brahman, this is revealed to me. What is Brahman? I am Brahman. How that leads to enlightenment, all these things are revealed to me. Manana, the reasoning, the second part of it. The reasoning, that removes what does it remove? It removes doubt. What's called asambhavana, impossibility. How am I pure consciousness? I'm this body. I'm just this guy. So all these questions are answered. Clarity comes. Understanding dawns. Knowledge comes through listening, studying. But understanding dawns through reasoning and removal of obstructing doubts. And then nididhyasana. What it does, these are all technical words. Meditation. What does it do? It removes what is called viparjaya, contrary tendencies. So, by hearing, by study, we get knowledge about Vedanta, that we are Brahman. By manana, by reasoning, by questioning, debating, thinking it through ourselves, asking questions, reading the text, struggling with it, wrestling with it, you get clarity. Your doubts are resolved. Earlier you felt, after Shravana, I know the teaching, but I don't get it. There are many things which are not clear to me. I have this question, then the next question, then the next question. But after the second step, we feel clarity is there. I know the teaching and I get it now. But still, I'm the same old dude. I'm not enlightened. And then we meditate on that clarity so attained. And in this process, at some point, there is something called sakshat, that is direct. There is a vritti, there is a movement of the mind, which an intuitive breakthrough, a flash which comes, and it becomes real all of a sudden. It is real. That somehow a veil, something, quote unquote, a veil is there, which is removed by this process. This is Vedanta. This is Vedanta. Bhakti is an integral part of it. Let me be under no illusion. Now, somebody may ask, suppose I came to Vedanta because I really don't like the God stuff. I don't believe in God or God talk. Can I not have Vedanta without God? Well, you have asked for it. It's a very difficult thing you're asking for. It's possible. It's possible. There is a way. But it's much more easier if you take the more conventional, the main road, not the special route or yeah. All right. So bhakti. Mayi chānanya-yogena bhaktir avyabhichāriṇī. What does it mean? Devotion to me. Three things are said here. Bhakti means devotion. Three things are said here. One is Mayi, in me, devotion to me. What does Krishna mean by that? And then ananya-yoga. Literally it means no contact with another. No contact with another. Avyabhichāriṇī, non-flickering, one-pointed, non-deviating. So all three, just a little bit about each one of them. Mayi, in me. Whenever Krishna uses, throughout this book he uses, Bhagavad Gita he uses this first person I. And what he means by I, you will see it across the book, different meanings are there. Often I means Krishna, straightforward. This person who is speaking. So I means the incarnation of God, Krishna. This person, this blue-hued person who in Vrindavan played the flute and here is driving a chariot and talking and teaching Gita to Arjuna. That person who is an incarnation of God, incarnation of Vishnu or Narayana, avatar. So that's one meaning of I. Then the second meaning of I is the one whose incarnation he is. God, Narayana, Vishnu. What is called in Vedanta Ishvara or Saguna Brahman. Brahman, the absolute with attributes. What's that like? That is formless in itself and with various forms, whatever the devotee may want to experience God in. And it's characterized by the creation, preservation and destruction of the universe. The cycle of existence, of projection, existence and dissolution of the universe. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya Karta. This is the definition of Brahman. Thirteenth Upanishad. That from which the universe has emerged, in which the universe exists, into which the universe is dissolved finally. If I use technical terms in Vedanta, Asya Jagata Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. Tad Brahma, the one undivided material and instrumental cause of this universe. I'm not going to explain, not necessary. Then, that's the second meaning of I. He speaks like that sometimes, Krishna. The third meaning of I here is what he revealed in the 10th and 11th chapters. the universe, this vast universe. He says Vishwarupa, the cosmic form, immanent in this universe. See, Brahman, when you talk about Vishnu, Narayana, where is he? Oh, he is in heaven, in Vaikuntha, in the Vaishnava heaven, reclining on the cosmic serpent. So, that is Narayana. Or he is in the hearts of all living beings. That is Narayana, God. But this entire cosmos, everything in this cosmos, is the body of God. This limitless, very present. One Swami said, where will you find God? Foolish question. Where will you not find God? Here is the God of 1,000 heads. What is 1,000? It's 1 billion heads. Not just human beings, all living beings. Plants, animals, all sentient beings. And indeed the insentient world of earth and water and fire and air and space. This is the body of God. This is Narayana. Not the objects themselves. That consciousness dressed up as this. This is the form this is the clothes, this universe which we are seeing the clothes without seeing the person. The person wearing these clothes is God. That is what Arjuna saw in the 11th chapter. Just 2 chapters before this. 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshana, the vision of the cosmic form. So that is the third meaning of I. The cosmic form of God, the universal form of God. Everything. Everything, remember, everything not as an inventory, not as a set of things. The collection of all things is God. No. If you see a policeman, it's not a cap and a jacket which makes a policeman. It's the person wearing that cap and jacket and badge and the gun which makes the policeman. By itself, the jacket and the cap and the badge and the gun are not a policeman. Similarly, this collection of things in this universe, that's not God. It is that one consciousness which identifies with this entire universe. Just as we identify with this body, there's one consciousness identifying with this entire universe. And there is a fourth one, meaning of I, which is entirely separate from all of these, which is existence, consciousness, bliss, Satchidananda, which is the purpose of this 13th chapter. Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Know me alone to be the one knower in all these knowers, in all these fields. The underlying oneness of this entire universe, the underlying existence, consciousness, bliss, that is the ultimate reality. In Vedanta it is called Brahman, which literally means the vast. In Vedanta it sometimes that is called that. Just that. In Sanskrit word that, for that is tat, very close. You write it in English, it will be T-A-T. Tat. So that's the fourth meaning. And all of these meanings he means when he says, Mayi chānanya-yogena bhaktir avyabhichāriṇī. Have devotion to me. It's enough if you have devotion to any one of these aspects. If you have devotion to God as avatar, you don't have to do all of it. The whole course, no. You catch hold of it in any part if you have devotion to God as Krishna, as just the person, the avatar of Krishna. And you know that person to be avatar. Good, enough. Any avatar. It could be Rama or Krishna or Ramakrishna or Jesus or any avatar, any incarnation of God. Good enough. In Bible, Jesus says, I am the way, none come to the Father except through me. So, avatar, very powerful doorway to God realization. Or you may not believe in avatar. You may just catch hold of God. I believe in God, I worship God, I take refuge in God. Good enough. That's the second meaning. The third one is this cosmic form. My God is everywhere. This is a pretty advanced way of looking at it. Everywhere I see my Lord is there. The fourth one is not to be worshipped in these ways. Fourth one is to be known as I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. Is it getting warm? If you feel, I can put on that fan. Because the warm means people fall asleep. So, I am that. The fourth one, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that. There is a beautiful little couplet about Ramchandra. Many Indians know it, especially those who are devotees of Ram. Ek Ram Dasharat ka beta. Ram, one. One is, some of you are smiling, you know this. Ek Ram Dasharath ka beta. Sit there. Yeah, any one of these seats. Yes. Are you sure you'll be comfortable with that big jacket on? Yeah. Ek Ram Dasharath ka beta. One Rama is the son of King Dasharatha. Who is that? The first one, Avatar. Duja, Ghat mein leta. Duja Ram Jagat Pasera. The second one is the creator of the universe. Rama is the incarnation of Vishnu. So the creator of the universe, Narayana, the creator of the universe. The second one, God. The second Rama is God. Third Rama. The third one is Ghat mein leta. In everything in this universe, living and non-living being, the same Rama is found. That's the third one, the cosmic form. Or chautha is sabse nyara, beyond all of these. Beyond all of these. It is completely different from all of them, beyond all of these, the absolute, the ultimate reality. And yet they are all Rama. They all are meant by, when Krishna says, Mayi, in me. He uses two words here about devotion. Devotion means love, faith, surrender. Two words here. One is chānanya-yogena and avyabhichāriṇī. Chānanya-yogena means, yoga means connection here. Without connection to anything else, without reference to anything else. See, the problem with us is in devotion to God is that we may give lip service. I am a Hindu, a Vaishnava, I am a devotee of Krishna, or I am a Christian, or a Muslim, or I am Jewish. But that's just lip service. That I just fill up a form and say, check the box. Do I really believe in God? Is God a real factor for me? People worship, the real meaning of idol worship is worshipping something other than God. What do we worship as God? Money. Money is a big thing. It's a tremendous deity to be worshipped. Power, fame, all these worldly things. Or some particular cause. It need not be very worldly. It might be also be more elevated. I am dedicated to some kind of activism, some higher cause. Or my art, or my science, or something. That forms the center of my life. Then you are not a bhakta. What Krishna is saying is that those things may be there in your life. You may have money, you may have power, you may have art, science, you may have a profession. You do. Arjuna himself is a busy man with lots of things in his life. But what Krishna is telling him, make God the center. Have everything else. Sri Ramakrishna gave the example of the child who holds on to the pillar. Child playing, they hold on to a post or a pillar and spin round. They're feeling giddy. But they're very careful to hold on to the pillar because the child knows if he lets go, he's going to fall and get hurt. So the child, it's a very good example, the way the child spins around and laughs delightedly, but holding on to the pillar, is careful about that. Similarly, Mayi bhakti, chānanya-yogena. Hold on to me. You can spin around. You can have a job and a family, and you can have causes in your life, you can have money, power, or you may not. But one thing you must hold on to. See, one and zeros. Sri Ramakrishna says that you may have a list of zeros in your life. The totality, no matter how many zeros you put, it's still zero. But if you put one before them, all of them, 1 0 is 10, 2 zeros, 100, and so on. So they'll all have value. That one, Mayi, in me, in whichever form you like, in whichever tradition you are, you easily connect to. Hold on to God. Not to anything else. Chānanya-yogena. And you have to interpret that carefully. That doesn't mean that now you're going to divorce your partner and donate all your money to good causes and then fly off to the Himalayas or something like that. No, not necessary. Arjuna wanted to do that. Krishna told him, no, stay there, right there, in the middle of that horrible place, battlefield. But you hold on to God first. So, Chānanya-yoga means that. Holding on only to God, not connecting to anything else. Internally. What about other people? Should I not connect to father, mother, husband, wife, children, grandchildren? You can, but mentally make sure that you know, at least theoretically, that God is in those beings, and my connection is to my beloved in that form. Here's a secret. When monks, spiritual people you approach, when they seem to love you very much, when they put attention on you, don't be fooled. What they are doing is they do the only one thing all the time. They are looking at one reality within you all the time. So, and that's not imagination, that's actually reality. Chānanya-yogena, without connection to anything else, literally, without connecting to anything else, connecting to God. Avyabhichāriṇī, not flickering, not the mind. Here, the second one refers to the vritti in the mind. Yes, I have connected to God. I have dedicated my life to God. I have said I have surrendered to God. I am a devotee of God, of Krishna or Christ or Ramakrishna. But right now and throughout my days, where is my mind? Where is my mind? What am I thinking about? And we will see, to our astonishment and disappointment, we are mostly thinking about the world. So, where does the mind go? See, one might not be connected to anything. Ananya yoga means not connected to anything. But may not be connected to God also. I'm depressed. I don't like anything. I don't like anybody. Do something. I don't want to do anything. Depressed. Unhappy. That is not what is meant. One pointed focus on God. So, the thought of God must be there, kept alive in the mind. I mean, it's talking about where we are supposed to go. We are beginning, but this is the direction we have to move in. I'm reminded of Swami Sarvapriyananda, who's the vice president of our order now. He told me this story about 30 years ago. When he was an attendant for Swami Premeshananda, a disciple of Ma Sharada, who was regarded in our order as an enlightened person. This is long before my time. This was the 1950s, early 60s. So one day, that old Swami was sick, lying in bed. He was bedridden most of the time. So Swami Sarvapriyananda, who was a young novice monastic, newcomer at that time, one day just to test, he just said, just like that, he wanted to check. He said to that old Swami, Maharaj, what are you thinking about just now? Just now, what were you thinking about? And immediately the Swami answered without any hesitation, Sarvavyapi Sri Ramakrishna, the all-pervading Sri Ramakrishna. The Swami who told me this story, he said, how a man sitting in a photograph with a beard can be all-pervading, but that's a different story altogether. But the fact is, he was thinking about God. Anytime you caught him out. This is, of course, this is where we are going towards. But this is the goal. Avyabhichāriṇī, the mind is so devoted to God. What we love generally comes up in our mind. Where our heart is, so there our attention also will be. Our thoughts and feelings will be about that. The person, the place, the object, possession, whatever really we like, our minds will keep on thinking about that. Avyabhichāriṇī. The reason we do not think about God, or we cannot think about God, is we think about what is called vishaya. Vishaya means objects of the world, things of the world. And why we think about that, why can't we connect it to God, is because we don't know what these are. A little bit of Vedanta here. Remember, all of these are all practices to help us towards non-dual realization. So where is you might ask, all this is nice, but this is just kindergarten stuff, love of God, and I knew all that. Please give us some non-duality. All right, for all you non-dualists here, here's the non-duality in all of this. All of this in the world, what is it? Follow this logic. What is it? It is nothing more than, everything here, it's nothing more than the earth and the water and the air and the fire and the space, the 5 elements. Or if you go by the periodic table, 150, 170, how many I've forgotten? 170 plus elements. 17. 117 elements. We have to listen to him. He's a professor at QD. This is his subject. So, this is what it is. All this is matter, energy. All of it. All the people here. Those who are very close to you, those who are not close to you, those who you don't know, those you literally can't stand and dislike. They are literally nothing more than matter, energy. The 117 elements or the 5 cosmic principles. They are earth, water, fire, air. It's a bundle of matter and organic matter and some heat, radiation there. The life forces, that bundle, that's all. All of them, good, bad, great, miserable, likable, horrible, all of them are these 5 elements. And everything in the world, your most prized possession and a piece of dirt on the road, all of them are just this matter, nothing else. It's the play of panchabhuta, that is the word for the universe, this physical, manifested universe in Vedanta, prapancha, not just in Vedanta, in all Indian languages. Prapancha literally means the world. Prapancha, the word prapancha means the 5 in detail. The 5 in detail, the 5 manifested, the 5 elements manifested. What? This universe. This is the 5 elements manifest. This is matter. Okay, so, but these 5 elements are nothing but the product of Brahman. See, we just said earlier, that phrase I used, abhinna nimitta upadana karana, the one undivided material and instrument or intelligent cause of the universe. Upanishads, I'm not arguing this, I'm just going back to the Upanishads. Tasmad va etasmad atmana akasha sambhuta akashad vayu vayor agni agni rapadbhya prithivi. From that Atman, from that Brahman arose space. From space arose air and fire and water and earth. Or if you're more modern minded, Big Bang and then the first elementary particles, and from that the 117 elements, and now here we are. This is what it is. So, the basic element, the basic reality, what we are experiencing here, the underlying reality is what Vedanta calls Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, Bhagavan. God alone is the material cause. The material continues in the effect. The cause continues in the effect. The cause of this furniture is wood. You now call it a table. You now call it a lectern. You now call it the sacred altar. It is wood. It is wood. It is wood. Everywhere you find, it is wood. It is the same reality everywhere. Similarly, everything, everybody, whatever we see in this place, and not only material things, space also itself, all of it is Bhagavan, all of it is Saguna Brahman, all of it is Krishna. And follow this, step 1. Step 2 actually. First step, reduce everything, see everything as matter. It is matter. It is matter, energy, time, space. And matter, energy, time, space are not different from the underlying cause, material cause, which is Brahman. This was expressed in the Mundaka Upanishad as the spider spinning a web. I think it was John Stuart Mill, a British philosopher, who said, so pitiable, these Hindus, they think of God as a spider. How can such a contemptible creature as a spider create the universe? No, the Hindus never thought of God as a spider. The exact words in the Upanishad is Yathorna nabi srijate grinhate cha. As a spider, just like a spider, spins and withdraws its web. Yatha, just like. As an example. And then it goes on to give other examples. Yatha prithivyam oshadaya sambhavanti yatha satah purushat keshalomani. As from the earth, herbs and shrubs and plants emerge. As from the living human body, hair and nails and all of these emerge. So from the one underlying existence, consciousness, bliss, the universe emerges. Basically, it means the inner cause of it, the fundamental cause of this entire universe, material cause of it, is Brahman, is Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, Bhagavan. Just like the wood is the material cause of these. Therefore, this is second step, reducing everything to Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, Bhagavan. All of it is Bhagavan. Step 3. But then all of this is drishya for you. It's an object of experience. This is what we see and hear and smell and taste and touch. This is what we think about. This is what we investigate with science. This is what we deal with in our day-to-day life. This universe. Is God then an object? Drishya. All of this is drishya. Drishya means an object of experience. The universe is an object of experience. Is God therefore an object? Now you must ask this question. See, if this is an object of experience, then what am I? I am the subject. If this is the seen, then what am I? I am obviously the seer. If this is drishya, I am drashta. I am the seer of all of these. Now, if this is the subject, this is the object, then what is the relationship between me and the object? Between the drashta and the drishya? Are they separate? Vedanta says they are not separate. There is one underlying reality called consciousness or existence which appears as subject and object. Think of the dream. In the dream, whatever you experience is a product of yourself, of your own mind. And you are also there in the dream as a character in the dream. You are there experiencing stuff. When you wake up, we realize that whatever I saw in the dream was nothing other than my mind. And I was the one who was there in the dream. That also was a product of my mind. So the subject and the object in the dream are both products of the dreaming mind. Similarly here, the drashta and the drishya, the seer and the seen, are both appearances on, or technical term in Vedanta, superimposition on one underlying reality called consciousness. It is, those who have followed Vedanta so far, you might say, just a minute, but I am the seer, so I am that consciousness, right? Yes, you are. You, the consciousness, follow this carefully. You, the consciousness. When you appear as these objects, you become the subject. When the seeable appears, you become the seer. Otherwise, you're just one consciousness. Forgetting that one consciousness, we now make this a solid, unshakable reality. This is a real world apart from me. I am a separate subject. And then samsara starts. But Vedanta tells you, this entire world is one consciousness appearing in these objects. That is Bhagavan or Krishna, Saguna Brahman. And you are also that one consciousness. What is the underlying reality? That one consciousness. With this name and form and mind, you become the subject, drashta. With these names and forms, that same one consciousness becomes drishya, object. Putting on the clothes of space and air and fire and water and earth, and then various combinations, prapancha, the five in detail, the five manifested, that one consciousness becomes universe, prapancha. With the clothing of body, mind, that one consciousness becomes drashta, jiva, the seer, experiencer. But it's actually underlying one consciousness only. There was a great Marathi saint, Gyaneshwar, Sant Gyaneshwar. He's very well known for his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, Gyaneshwari, that's very well known. But he wrote another book. It is called Changadev Pashashti, 65 verses to the yogi Changadev. Now, why I'm referring to it is very nice translation just recently came out by Swami Pitambaranji. Actually, the original is in 13th century Marathi. It's difficult to understand. But now it's accessible thanks to this very nice translation. It's an advanced teaching on non-duality in simple verse. And it's written to this yogi. So it's a very old yogi. He heard about this young boy who had become enlightened, Gyaneshwar. So he had his questions, whatever he had been seeking enlightenment for years and years. he wanted to write it down, but he was sort of caught up in a dilemma because the person I'm writing to is a youngster, so should I start with blessings, child? But then he's enlightened and I am not. So should I start with salutations, oh master? And he was in a dilemma, but he's younger than me, how can I salute him? But he is enlightened, how can I give him blessings? And in all this kind of thinking, he forgot to write his questions. And by the time the message went with the messenger to Gyaneshwar, it was a blank page. But Gyaneshwar understood whatever was in the heart of the yogi. And he wrote these 65 verses. The very first 2 verses, so stunning in the simplicity. So that yogi worshipped Vateshwar Shiva, Shri Vateshwara. So Gyaneshwar starts with the form of God which you worship. He starts with that. That form of God, that God, Shiva. When Shiva hides himself, the world appears. When Shiva reveals himself, the world disappears. That's all. What are you seeking? It's this, right now, what you have right now. But it's hidden. It is this thing itself. The whole of Vedanta is packed into it. And the next verse is, he, Shiva, alone, manifests and makes the world disappear. And yet he does nothing at all. He remains exactly the same. Nothing of Shiva is lost when the world manifests. Nothing of Shiva is lost when the world disappears. And not only that, he does not manifest or make the world disappear. Does not do anything at all. He's just what he is always is. Second verse. But why I'm bringing it up in this context, few verses down, he says, just as when a mirror appears, you see the reflection of your face. With reference to the reflection, you become the reflected face. In the mirror, you see the reflection. Then what is that face now? Reflected face. And the face in the mirror is the reflection. In Sanskrit, that is pratibimba. And with regard to that, you are the reflector, bimba, the reflected face. But the face is just a face. When you take the mirror away, not only the reflection is gone, you no longer call this the reflected face. Similarly, he says, there is only one consciousness. It appears as this universe. And immediately you are called the subject. It becomes the object and you call the subject. When that one consciousness manifests itself, the universe disappears, you are no longer called the subject also. Only that remains. You are that. So, therefore, Mayi bhaktir chānanya-yogena avyabhichāriṇī. The only way, ultimately, you can have no contact with anything else and your bhakti will be unflickering is when you realize there is only one thing anyway. Whatever you think about, wherever your mind goes, it's not flickering. It's going to God only. God in the form of this world. Or if the mind merges into samadhi, then the world disappears and Shiva is revealed. But it's the same thing. Nothing is lost if Shiva disappears and the world appears. Shiva is hiding. The moment Shiva hides, the world appears. You know what it's like? It's like the image of Shiva it is actually ancient Kashmiri Shaiva example. The Bhairava, which carved into the companion of Shiva, or Shiva himself, carved into a stone. Now, when you focus on that, you can see Shiva, or you can see stone. But it's literally the same thing that you are seeing. If the name and form, your focus is on Shiva, you see the Shiva. When you see the material itself, it is stone. The appearance of the Bhairava and the disappearance of the Bhairava is a question of your spiritual insight. We're focusing on that. But the thing is, until we know the Bhairava, until we know the Shiva, until Shiva appears at least once to us, it's just the world for us. But once that Shiva appears and then disappears, you have not lost Shiva because you have this world. This is Shiva. then really your bhakti becomes avyabhichāriṇī, ananya-yoga. Because there is no second reality to get in contact with. What else will you touch? What else will you think about? Whom will you talk to? Whom will you touch? Whom will you fight with? Whom will you love? Shiva only. As that Swami said, where will I find God? Foolish question. Where will you not find God? You have no choice in that matter anymore. You can't get rid of Shiva after that. With eyes open and eyes closed. They put it beautifully in Kashmiri Shaivism. It says, when the eyes open, the world vanishes. When the eyes close, the world appears. The eye of knowledge, that's the third eye. And when you look at reality, the world is gone, it's Shiva alone. When you close the third eye, normally what happens? When the eyes close, the world vanishes. Eyes open, the world appears. But here he says in knowledge, when your eyes open, the world vanishes. And when eyes close, the world appears. That means when third eye of knowledge is closed, it seems to be the world. But for the enlightened one who has once seen it, it's no longer the world. And he knows in each case it's just that one reality. So, this is the non-duality aspect of it. We can start as bhakti. It becomes non-duality very quickly. Vivikta-deśa-sevitvam, aratir jana-sansadi. Resorting to solitude. Yogis go into solitude. First, a little bit about solitude. Solitude is very good for spiritual development. And that's why meditators, yogis have always sought solitude. It is a weak mind, an untrained mind, an indisciplined mind, which becomes restless when it is left alone. What's the problem? I'm getting so boring. There's nobody around, nothing to do, nobody to talk to. Good. That's a sign of a mind which cannot engage itself. A trained mind, a disciplined mind will engage itself. I've read about people in terribly difficult circumstances. If you read Viktor Frankl's, Man in Search of Meaning, and the prisoners in the concentration camps, those few who survived, many of them survived, they were able to survive internally intact because they had a rich inner life. I know about this mathematician. A friend of mine is a well-known mathematician. He told me about a leading Russian mathematician. During the days of the Soviet Union, he was a mathematician in a big institute, and then he fell out of favor with the communists and they banned him from teaching. They made him, from a professor of mathematics, they made him a janitor. So in the same college, he had to go around sweeping and cleaning the washrooms. And he would cover the washrooms, the floor and the toilet and the basin with mathematical equations. And then he would clean it up. It's rich inner life. Like that, the one whose mind is constantly on God, he or she will welcome any chance of solitude. I met this monk in the Himalayas who was very happy with the 10,000 feet high in a cottage he lived, very happy with little children coming and playing around, people coming to pay their respects. And I said, this is all very wonderful, you are happy with all these people, but in the winter months, 6 months, you don't get to see a human face. And it's like it's cold outside, but at least we have heating inside. There it's cold outside and cold inside. It's 30 degrees outside and your bed is also 30 degrees. So what do you do in those days? And I still remember, with a big smile, he chuckled and he said to me, Mahatma ji, मैं अब मजे में हूँ और तब और भी मजे में रहता हूँ. Right now I am having a lot of fun. I am in great joy now. And then I am in greater joy when there is nobody around. Vivikta-deśa-sevitvam, who resorts to solitude. However, caution here. Solitude is beneficial, is necessary for spiritual life. The goal of spiritual life is not solitude. The goal of Vedanta is that utter inner serenity, whether you are in solitude or in the midst of company and in a busy city. So Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda also said, Krishna here is the ideal of Vedanta. In the middle of the battlefield, holding on to the reins of the horses in the chariot, teaching the highest philosophy to Arjuna with a smile on his face in that terrible circumstance. There are people who are peaceful when the surroundings are peaceful. They get quite upset when the surroundings are not peaceful. I've seen such people, monks I've seen. Genuinely calm and sweet tempered, but bring them here, high pressure job in Wall Street or somewhere, corporate job, tech job, they'll immediately lose their cool. They'll say, I don't want any of this, I'm off to the Himalayas. And you might say, well, oh monk, you have a choice, you're lucky, we don't, we are stuck here. That is not a sign of true inner development. It's the opposite of the first one, who cannot take solitude, who gets bored with solitude, who gets restless with solitude. That mind is also possible. And that mind should not go into solitude. That mind requires training and discipline here. In the family, in the school, in the job. A job is also a form of discipline, structure. In the ashram, before going into solitude. Again, I've met such people. A young man who used to stay in a hut or a cave near where I was staying. He got to know me and we would talk, and he said how desperately unhappy he was. He was unhappy, he had quarreled with somebody in the city, and then he had run away to the Himalayas. He was staying in a cave. I think some yogi was his guru or something. But then he told me that at first it's all very nice. Especially if you don't want anything in the world, you're left alone. You get your food, you get a place to stay, and you really don't want anything. It's not comfortable, but it doesn't matter. If you are young and healthy, you don't need that kind of, you can rough it out. So it's very peaceful, very serene, and the atmosphere is also very good. So then what more could one want? No, but after some days, after a week, after 2 weeks, after a month, after 2 months, it is just rock and ice and howling winds and relentless darkness from evening till next morning and utter loneliness. And then it's very difficult. Everything seems to fall apart internally then, unless you are trained. If you are trained, then you can get great benefit from it. So what we are told as monks is, yes, solitude is great. You should go into solitude when you want to. Go into solitary retreats. Go for a week, for a month, for 2 months, for 1 year, but come back. When you find that it's not spiritually beneficial anymore, come back and into the discipline of the ashram. So this is a caution about solitude. Just a word about the non-dual aspect of solitude. This is solitude and the caution about solitude. Sri Ramakrishna, just one more word. Sri Ramakrishna said, in the initial days when you plant a seed and a seedling germinates, you need to put a fence around it. Otherwise, if you remember, know what an Indian street is like, the cows will come and eat it up. So you need a fence around it. But when the seed grows into a mighty tree, Sri Ramakrishna says, you can remove the fence. You can even tie an elephant to it. Nothing will happen. Similarly, early in spiritual life, we need these fences. It could be discipline, it could be ashram, it could be a certain structure, it could be solitude. Now, the fence might be actually much better to be part of an ashram or a religious community or a structure in a house. That might be your fence. It's not necessary that solitude is your fence. It might be that only when you grow in spiritual life, when we grow sufficiently, then solitude becomes helpful. Or the other way around. In initial days, in one stage in spiritual life, solitude is the fence, not company. Stay away from company. So it depends on where we are in spiritual life. I have seen people being harmed by solitude. If we push it too far, they become eccentric. Not that they're progressing very far in spiritual life. I've met many people in the mountains, in caves, in huts, dwelling there. Some are advanced, some are very ordinary, and some have been harmed by that excessive solitude. So one must be careful about that, resorting to solitary places. Little bit about the non-duality part of it. Vivikta-deśa. Vivikta literally means the Sanskrit word separation. Pritak-karana. Vivich, the root Sanskrit, etymologically it means to separate. It is the same word from which Viveka, Vivekananda has come, Viveka, to separate two things which are mixed up. As I said, the world, Shiva is right here, appearing as the world. Two things are mixed up, the reality and name and form. On one side, name and form and activity. On the other side, the underlying reality. Here it is. Here is a table. Here is the reality which is called wood. But it seems to be hidden by, it's called a table and you put things on it and it is a particular shape. But it is wood. So the separation means an inner separation. But this separation, this is the technical meaning. Solitude is the meaning of vivikta-deśha, but it's etymologically, if you dive deep into it, it starts with separation, separating two things. First of all, physical separation. So he says, aratir jana-sansadi, a dislike of too much human company. Dislike means, not exactly dislike, not actively seeking human company. I'm so bored and lonely and unhappy without people around, and spiritual life is difficult then. So, separation. And then in every little thing, separation. See, where you sit for meditation, the asana, the meditation mat, it should be separate, it should be yours. Others should not sit on it. Separation. The rosary with a japa mala on which you do japa, that should be yours. It should be separated from others. The others should not use it. Because there are these all theories of vibrations and all that. It is a certain kind of vibration. Sattvic vibration is built up by your use. And everybody's mindset is different. Everybody's at different stages in spiritual journey. So you can't mix and match like that. We should not use another person's meditation mat and rosary. I remember this funny incident where we were young monastic novices, youngsters, about 25, 30 years ago actually, in that monastery. And one of my friends, one of the young monks, he found a novice. He found a japa mala, a rosary on which the mantra is counted. Belonged to somebody else, one of our friends. Now he said this guy was quite eccentric. He was very funny, but weird also. So first thing he did, instead of returning it to the person who it belonged to, he quickly sat down and started repeating the mantra on that. We asked him, whatever are you doing? You shouldn't do that. He said, no, whatever he has charged it with, I'm pulling out all the charges. I'm taking away whatever he has stored in the in the rosary. No, that doesn't work. But vivikta, separate. Then, even on your meditation mat, see how deep this goes. There's little things, but the same principle. Even on the meditation mat, separate. What do you do that? You do your meditation there. Don't read books sitting there. But I'm reading a holy book. No. Sit, some chanting, part of your practice, that you can do. But nothing else. Don't sit on the meditation mat and browse through the net or something. No. Or talking on the phone to somebody on the meditation mat. No. Don't sleep there. Don't talk with others there. Don't use that for anything else. Separate. So, the moment then you sit down there, your mind will focus on... Because the mind is a creature of habit, it's been trained that in this place, when I sit, separate. And in this posture, my mind, I will think about that mantra, the deity, devotion, concentration. Vivikta-deśha. Further, separate from the world. Focus. Turn into this body. And not even this body. Turn inwards. Separate from the body. From the prana. From the mind. In the mind. Turn inwards. Where the sense of I is coming. The heart of our own felt existence. Separate. As we separate, you'll come to this inner consciousness, this awareness. Not as an object, as I, me, myself, my own reality. That is the real vivikta-deśha. The desha means space. What space is that? It's called chidakasha, the sky of consciousness. That's the ultimate meaning of vivikta-deśha. Ultimate, non-dualistic meaning. All right. One more, the 11th verse is left. We will do that next time. Can you or you'll come with the basket. If you have any questions, observations, you can raise your hand. And yes, please. Oh, he's getting a microphone for you. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Himanshu. You said kshetragyam api mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata.
Yes, I didn't say it. Krishna said it.
No, but so the meaning is that I am the only knower in all the fields, or
Yes.
I am one with the fields.
No, I am the one knower in all the fields. The first verse is idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidhiyate. O Arjuna, know this body to be the field. And the one who experiences this field from within, etad yo vetti, the one who realizes this, understands it, experiences it, that conscious being, that sentient being is called kshetragyamiti tadvidaha, is called the knower of the field. So basically us, we have bodies and we are the knower of the field. But then we have done this analysis. When you pursue it further, use the principle, whatever I know belongs to the field.
Yes.
Then you will come to the witness consciousness. So I am not even the body, I am not even the mind, I am not the subject as understood ordinarily. The constituents of the subject also are flushed out. I am the witness consciousness, non-object, to which everything else is an object. That's the real kshetragya. But still the idea persists. So many fields are there, so there must be different knowers of the field everywhere. So many witness consciousnesses. And Krishna says no. There is no witness consciousnesses. There is only one consciousness. When we step away from the body, when we vivikta, separate, when you separate the body, separate the mind, then all distinction goes away. Notice, in our deep sleep, see, our bodies are different. Our personalities are different. All of us. Our life experiences are different. But when we go deeper, in deep sleep, when we lose sight of our body, when our mind shut down in deep sleep, the deep sleep experience is the same for all of us. The waking experience is different for each one of us. Our dreams are also different. But our deep sleep is exactly the same. How much more so the witness of that deep sleep will be exactly the same. Impersonal principle. The moment that the mind becomes active and in the body, we become persons. But the reality of us is impersonal consciousness. And Krishna says, I am that one impersonal consciousness in all beings. That is not separate. It seems to be separate because you're looking at it from the perspective of bodies and minds.
Okay, thanks. Just one more. You said Mananan, Shravanam and Jnanam you related.
Yes.
So, is Shravanam is Jnanam? So, I just...
Shravana gives you jnana. Shravana gives us jnana. Jnana of what? The teachings of Vedanta.
So, Jnanam, just like we heard you say that, right?
Yes.
So, are we Jnanis now?
In the sense that I know I am Brahman because I have read about it, I have heard about it in that sense.
So, it's not direct perception?
No. It is called paroksha jnana, indirect knowledge. Okay. And that also is subject to doubt. The doubt, confusions. Those doubts and confusions are resolved through manana, questioning, analyzing, struggling with it until clarity comes. Then staying with that clarity in meditation. That will slowly transform our character. It will go deep. Our whole idea about ourselves in the mind, it will change. And at one point in this process, what arises is what is called brahmakara vritti, an intuitive breakthrough, when it becomes a living reality.
Jnana agni bhasmasat kurute tatha.
That is the last one, brahmakara vritti. Okay. Not this Shravana Janitaka.
Okay. So there are different grades in also Jnana.
No. That jnana is the one which removes ignorance finally, the veil of ignorance.
Okay,
but this one is what is called paroksha, that is indirect knowledge. I have heard that there is a Brahman and I know I am supposed to be that Brahman. I don't see how. That's the level at which we, just by hearing or studying.
So when we read Jnana, we have to interpret what type of Jnana do they
Yes,
mean?
the word jnana, knowledge, it goes all the way up to Brahman. Brahman is also jnana, but it's not knowledge about something. It's jnana as consciousness itself.
Thanks.
Sakshi, witness consciousness is also jnana, but it's not jnana about something. It is awareness itself.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, we can go there and then come back here.
Hi, I'm Elliot. I hope this isn't off topic, but it's, so consciousness can never be objectified. Consciousness is always the subject of any experience. So I think sometimes it's difficult for me to not subtly objectify consciousness, especially when I listen to teachings that say, like, abide in the I am, or to go to the I am, or even to investigate the I am, because I end up landing on a subtle sensation or an image, and I just wondered if you could.
Yes. Before I answer that, you said consciousness is always the subject of every experience. Yes and no. It is always the subject of every experience, but in itself it's not a subject. It's only when, as we gave the example from Changadev Pashashti or Gyaneshwar's example of when a mirror comes in front, the face is reflected in the mirror. So the original face is now called a reflected face, because that's a reflection there. If you remove the mirror and the reflection, you don't call this face a reflected face. Similarly, consciousness is called a subject when it experiences an object. In technical clarification, but it remains the same. Even without being a subject, it will remain the same. Now, what you have said is a subtle and important point. Consciousness is never an object. Whatever is an object to consciousness. Fine. But in a subtle way, are we not objectifying consciousness? When we do all this talk, for example, this Vedanta, it is in one sense objectifying consciousness. And especially when you say, who am I? Focus on the I am. So, you'll be surprised to know Shankaracharya says, consciousness is not entirely a non-object. Nahi ekantena avishayah. In the Adhyasa Bhashya, the commentary, introduction to the Brahma Sutras, maybe Shankaracharya's most profound work. There, after proving that consciousness is non-objective and everything is an object to consciousness, then he says, it's not that consciousness is not an object. And then he says, how? Why would you say? It seems entirely contrary to his position, the non-dualist position. Then he goes on to say, aham pratyaya vishayatvat. Because it is subtly objectified by I am. What you exactly said. So, the non-objective nature of consciousness is a good way of eliminating all objects. And it's a way of teaching the mind not this continuous attempt to grasp, stop, don't. But in a certain sense, consciousness being self-revealed as most obviously the I. In that sense, quote unquote, a subtle objectification is there, and that's good. Otherwise, the opposite danger, thoroughgoing non-object would be like nothing for us. It's not nothing.
Yeah, because when I listen to the instruction of abide or go to the I am or be aware of being aware, I tends to identify with some subtle form of seeing.
Yes.
Which has only caused me more frustration and problems. It hasn't, as opposed to the understanding that consciousness can never be an object, is a relief.
Yes.
It's a sense of, I can't find it because I am it.
Yes. And that is the correct understanding. This attempt to discover oneself as consciousness can lead only to frustration. Because you cannot. Because when we attempt to do something, the mind and the senses always attempt to objectify. The mind tries to objectify. I want to feel it somehow. The intellect tries to objectify. I want to understand it as this, in this way. This thing with such characteristics is consciousness, and somehow I am this. But I cannot be this. It is an object to me, the consciousness. In fact, if you feel relieved by knowing I am consciousness, not something that I can objectify and realize myself as I am this consciousness. If you feel relieved by knowing that's not possible, good, you've got it. Then what one can do is a thoroughgoing analysis, apply it in meditation, in difficult situations in life, and see all of these things are objects to me, including my discomfort, my uneasiness, my problems, my sorrows, my complaints. They're all objects to me. Flush all objects, because you know that you are not an object. It's an object to you. Instead of trying to discover ourselves as consciousness, Once Vedanta is clear, once you relax into your nature's consciousness, which you are choicelessly, then it's much more important and more technically correct to stop yourself from identifying with body, prana, mind, thoughts, sensations, ideas, emotional states. All of these are appearances. But all of this is still the first stage. The next stage is all these appearances are also nothing but consciousness. In a strange way, it is consciousness appearing as all of these. So the oneness, not the separation. Vedanta ultimately must end with oneness, not separation.
Can I ask a really small follow-up question?
Yes.
Because it's something you said earlier too about how you said, I think Shiva, when the world appears, Shiva is asleep, and when Shiva is awake, the world disappears.
Yes.
But is there not some sort of middle ground in the sense of like, I can feel and know that everything is an appearance of the one reality.
Yes.
And that can be clear to me. I can look at a perception and I can intuitively sense that it's me.
Yes. Yes.
But it doesn't mean the world. I can still say, oh, that's a chair.
Yes.
It's both.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly all right. That's the meaning of Shiva has hidden himself and the world has appeared. You are looking at the world, but you know it's Shiva. And when you dismiss the world, for example, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Shiva alone remains, no name, form or activity. So that Shiva is appearing and the world has disappeared. When the mind functions, eyes are open and seeing the world, you know it is Shiva. You know it is that one consciousness. I am this one consciousness. But I see chairs and tables. So this is for the jnani, for the enlightened one. For the enlightened one also, Shiva can be there without any attribute, where language cannot go, where thoughts cannot grasp, in samadhi. Or the enlightened one, when the world is appearing, for the enlightened one, Shiva is not hidden by the world. When Shiva hides himself means appears as the world. For the ignorant one, it's just talk. For the ignorant one, it's just the world. That's all. All the rest is just talk, or I'm just hearing about it, and so it sounds interesting. But I'm helplessly trapped here in the world. Later on in that wonderful little volume, Gyaneshwar says that the world does not hide Shiva. And he gives a beautiful example. He says, in the ocean, do the waves hide water? Just as the waves are nothing but water. Water is endlessly manifest in all the waves. Similarly, Shiva is endlessly, openly manifest in every form and every being in this world, in every activity in the world. Imagine the state of the enlightened one, with eyes open, experiencing God in all these forms, and blazingly, unchecked, without effortlessly, wherever you look, blazes forth divinity. Whatever you hear, smell, taste, touch, whatever you think about, all our waking, all our dreams, our deep sleep, everything is flooded by this one reality. Ceaselessly so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Can you pass this microphone down?
Namaskar.
What's your name?
My name is Akshaj.
Akshaj.
Thank you for a wonderful lecture. I felt like I was thinking about certain questions and they got answered today. So I really liked the way you explained, especially with human relations and the like whatever we like, our mind is there. And you said reduce it to matter. Then you said reduce and think of it as God. Then as an objective, and then you're subjective, and the common thing is consciousness.
Yes.
Now, I do this sort of mental practice where when I'm talking to someone or when I'm approaching someone, I'm like, I think that, and this is a very practical question. It's not a philosophical question, but it's like I do this mental exercise that there is a consciousness in them and me, and we are connected in that way. But also you have to deal with personalities.
Yes.
How can this coexist at the same time?
Certainly it can coexist. It's like just like the way it coexists in you, in me. I see that I am awareness, and that awareness also manifests as mind and prana and body, and that's exactly the same for everybody. Just the way you see yourself as consciousness, the moment you see yourself as witness consciousness, you will immediately know everybody is a witness consciousness. That comes. Just as we see ourselves as bodies, for us everybody is a body. When we see ourselves as a person, body with a mind, a personality, for us everybody is a person. That's at the level of any educated, decent, thinking, sensitive person. Adult will think of everybody else as a person. But in spiritual life, you go a little further. So I am not even the person. I am the witness, the one consciousness which is witness of the person. Then the same thing must be there everywhere. And you go further. Krishna says that one consciousness which you feel yourself to be, in all of those beings you see, yes, that is that one consciousness I am. That's God in Vedanta. Yeah. And you are dealing with divinity. Then you deal with the personalities as appropriate. The Lord is appearing in all these forms before you. And the Lord is very playful. Krishna is very playful. So he can appear as a very nice person, as a very arrogant person, as a troublesome person, as a mischievous person. And the Lord would like you to play. Do that skillfully, so that it doesn't hamper your spiritual progress. And if you can give anybody who comes in contact with you, can give them an upward push, very good. That's your service to them. That's your worship to the Lord there. The Lord has come in that form. And that's the worship you give to the Lord there. If we cannot, Swami Vivekananda says, do not condemn, do not curse, do not criticize. You do pranam, salutations, and go on your way without trying to curse, condemn, criticize, hurt. You cannot help everybody. You cannot actually give an upward push to anybody without the grace of God. You can only try. Yeah.
Thank you.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.